This is Sandy.
This is Reza. Welcome back to the 11th episode of the Stone Cold Sober podcast.
It's
Still doing big things, right?
still doing big things. I think now that sports are over on Sundays, we're gonna have an easier time getting back to the weekly schedule.
Yeah. Too busy stressing about different games and whatnot.
Yeah.
Colts playoff games always let me down. Although, each season we get a little one game further, which is nice.
Which is nice.
Chargers are a little less
Don't
consistent.
talk to me about my team. Don't do it.
I
Not ready. Not ready.
All right, I'm done.
Move on.
So, you've been doing a bit of dating. Last week we talked about your OkCupid profile. You have any updates about that?
Yeah. It looks like the profile has sort of piqued some interest. I've been on 2 OkCupid dates so far.
Okay.
Which is great. I wanted, and sort of my MO is after each date, I like to do a bit of a write-up. It's sort of like you could call it a short essay, you sort of call it a description of events that occurred. I do it because I like to share with a lot of my friends what happened that I don't talk to every day. Sort of just like a fun update on what's going on. And some people are saying that I should probably create this into a book.
Or at least a blog.
Or a blog of some kind. I'm still sort of giving all that some thought, but I just know with these being real people, I have to really figure out how to sort of either change names or what have you. But that's neither here nor there. I figured, at least in the past 48 hours, I've been on a really bad date, and I went on a really fun date. And I just wanted to sort of juxtapose those two sort of experiences and share that with you.
Yeah.
And then you sort of being someone who's in a committed, loving relationship, you get to sort of laugh at how hard it is out there. All right.
Hard out there in the streets.
Hard out there in the streets. So there was this girl. Her name was Jackie, and she had a fun profile. We connected. I want to say like 3 weeks ago. It's been a minute since we've started chatting.
Yeah.
And the reason for that is she has been in the Philippines for family vacation, and I caught her while she was over there. So we were basically just using the chat client that OkCupid has, sort of send messages back and forth and keeping it light, not a big deal of any kind. And she ended up telling me at the date that guys are really creepy on OkCupid. I think it's fair to say that guys are pretty creepy online overall.
I was going to say overall, right?
Overall, we're not doing ourselves any favors. But it was just interesting to sort of hear that in a real context.
Yeah.
Like put a real face to like a profile and have that person tell me, oh, like you just get like women get bombarded with these really creepy messages, and most people get blocked before the messages. Like you read the message, like, oh, I'm blocking this person, that's creepy, or delete it,
Yeah.
And my sort of style is I'll click on your photo if I find you sort of attractive, and then I'll read your profile to see if you have an interesting sort of take on things, or you seem really interesting, like someone I'd like to get to know, and then I'll just send you a message based on something I read in your profile. I feel like this is not a hard thing to do.
Pretty standard, I guess, right?
Felt like it was a standard way to approach things.
Regardless.
Sent her a message based on her profile. We started talking over the chat client that they give us. 81 messages were shared between us.
Okay.
So we'll just say 40 and 40. That for me, that's sort of more of a personal record because I normally don't speak to the girl that much before I meet her for the first time.
Right.
I like to sort of keep things fresh and undiscovered so that you do get to sort of unravel those things when you meet somebody.
Fair enough.
And then when she told me that she was back in the city, we exchanged phone numbers so we could actually text each other. And we set the date for Friday, so 2 days ago Friday.
Okay.
Sort of like the beginning of the week. And we were just texting, not constantly, but a healthy amount throughout the week. And I thought to myself, oh, this is fun. Like I'm looking forward to texting. So sometimes I'll initiate the text. Sometimes she'll initiate the text. It's sort of a very balanced sort of approach. and I'll sort of just tell you what happened.
Okay.
Life comes down, I think, to the little things. It really comes down to details, and it's been said 1,000 times, but there's a reason why the devil really lurks there. Now, I won't lie. I was really looking forward to this date. Uh, we I set it for this new restaurant called Feast.
So not the
Uh,
Smith.
Not the Smith. I'm a big fan of the Smith, as all of my sort of fellow readers know. Don't laugh. The Smith is my best wingman. I'll tell you why I say this. Don't laugh.
All right.
Don't make me laugh. Great food. Really sort of robust menu of like American fare. Priced very respectively, I think, for a first date. Because I always pay. I always pay. That's sort of not up for discussion. I do it sort of out of the I do it out of respect for the process.
Yeah.
Not so much I don't think that the girl can pay.
Yeah. Yeah.
I would love it if the girl took half, but it's sort of out of the realm of possibility in my eyes, and I never bat an eye.
I agree with you.
Yeah, and plus I think the best part about the Smith is the ambiance. The ambiance is so phenomenal. It's such a lively place
Yeah.
that you can really feed off of that energy. So, so that really, I find that to be a really sort of healthy place to have a first date.
That's
But I
fair.
figured, this time let's switch it up. Let's go to Feast. Feast is sort of right across the street. They specialize in these like sort of tiered menus. So you get a starter, like a soup, a salad, an entree with sides, and a dessert. It all sort of comes like there's like a defined. They call it a feast. Um, Different parts of the menu. I don't want to call them courses, but you could sort of equate them to courses.
Okay.
Now I arrived 10 minutes early to sort of check in, and then I gave my hostess my credit card. Now, luckily, this hostess sort of understood right off the bat what was going down.
You're giving away your technique right now to everybody.
It's only one. That's one play. It's one play that I do. If I'm there early, and I know that that person's sort of not in the restaurant yet,
Yeah.
because sometimes I've had lurkers to like chill at the bar and be like, I don't know if I'm early or if I'm late, so let me just check in and say my name really loudly. Um, but I knew that she wasn't there yet, so I just sort of gave my card to the hostess, and then proceeded to just sit by the bar and wait, for around 10 minutes. I'd say nothing crazy. Um, and then when she showed up, things started to get a little tricky. I don't want to say things went off the rails immediately, but things are not always what they appear. First thing, she didn't look like her profile.
Mm.
Well, she did, but maybe like 10 to 20 pounds ago, which really threw me off.
Okay.
It really did. Now, I don't mean to be rude when I say that, but she just didn't look like the profile that she's sort of posting online.
Yeah. I
'Cause
don't think you're
before
saying
this, I mean, before this is all I have to go on.
right. It's not necessarily a bad thing. It's just you were caught off guard.
I was caught off guard. She did say, though, in one of her text messages that she needed to work out because the winter had been brutal up to this point. But I
Hmm.
sort of chalked that up to girls being over dramatic. You know how girls are. Girls goes, "Oh, I need to lose 10 pounds." Like, you're rail thin already. I was going to throw you in an institution to get weight put on. You know what I mean? Uh, but you know what? That was fine. It's not ideal, but dinner still needed to be had, and I was still really interested in getting to know her because how well we were sort of feeding off of each other, like
Yeah.
for about 3 weeks, and sort of the week before, and all this texting. I was like, well, there's something here. Let's see what happens, because weight is such a fluid thing.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah. It's not like your personality is what turns you off or what have you. She did have a bit of a Fabi voice. For those who don't know, Fabi is fresh off the boat. ABC's Tuesdays, great show. Shout out to is it ABC?
I have no
Shout
idea.
out to
I
the
haven't
wrong.
seen it yet.
Let's not shout out to the wrong station. Um, and for those playing the home game, that's fresh off the boat, which definitely threw me off. It's not that I'm not about that, but in my sort of head, that's not ideal. I sort of like to be with someone who's a little bit more Americanized, even though I have strong Chinese roots.
Yeah.
I think, I guess I just didn't put that voice to the name, and because she sort of showed up differently, it sort of like threw me all sort of off tilt for a little bit. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
And there I go. I said, you know what I mean. You know how I feel about that.
Not
Um,
me.
Not mean. Uh, I think the voice in this situation was more the gravy on what she was saying. I think she's still trying to find herself in the city. We sat down and she just seemed really flustered. She's saying how she still doesn't she's still not used to riding the train during rush hour or sort of the etiquette on trains. I was like, listen, all that's behind us now. We're here to enjoy a nice dinner. Let's just sort of focus and be here now.
Okay.
Not in a condescending way, but just sort of be like, I totally hear you. I've commuted in this city. We all
Right.
have our good commutes and bad commutes, but let's not sort of let something that happened in the past that was totally random sort of dominate the conversation. I don't give a shit about your commute. I don't want to talk about your commute. Um, she's only been in the city for around a year. She's 24 years old, and I think she still has a ton of her own views on the city. Um, I know that everyone comes into New York with their own view of the city, and I think it just takes time for the city to beat that out of you.
Yeah.
I think I really appreciate when people have a fresh perspective on things, but when I sort of take my jaded view on things, and sort of realize like, wow, you just don't get how X works or Y works. It can be a little frustrating
Yeah.
because I think we've all gone through the growing pains. Like, all right, this is not a thing anymore. We've all sort of accepted this as what it is. It also doesn't help that she just read this book called The Defining Decade, which sort of tells you that your 20s are, for lack of a better term, your defining decade, and you need to make the most out of your 20s, which I found interesting. She said that she feels the need to map out every hour of every day, and she did bring up the fact that she was training for a half marathon and in the upcoming New York City marathon, so she felt like her time was really being squeezed.
Yeah.
Uh, Oh, interesting point. While we were texting around like Wednesday, she did disable her OkCupid profile. Now I was going to go back to reference sort of what she wrote down, and I was like, "Hey, you." She actually reached out. She goes, "Hey, I disabled my OkCupid profile," and I go, "Yeah, I saw that. I don't care, but why'd you feel the need to do so?" She goes, "She doesn't feel like she's got a lot of time to date right now," which should have been a huge red flag.
Yeah, it's a little weird to say when you're about to go on a date with somebody.
Exactly. And she goes, that's a story best told in person, which I sort of, as a schmuck, said, okay, I'm willing to pay for dinner to figure out what the answer to this question is. When I should have just said, well, why don't you tell me right now so I can decide if Friday's still worth our time or not.
Yeah.
Um, but so she did, I told you she's like really felt like she needed to map out every like moment of her life.
Right.
She actually walked me through the math. It's crazy. She said the following. She goes, "There's 24 hours in a day, right?" And I go, "Yeah, I follow." Um, she goes, "I feel the need." She goes, "I really like to sleep for 8 hours a day. That's really important to me. You know what? That's great. A lot of people need 8 hours, and
Hmm.
I'm not here to get in the way of you getting 8 hours." So she goes, "So 24 minus 8 is 16." And in my brain, I go, "Oh, we're really doing the math on this.
Yes.
We're really gonna
So
itemize."
she
Okay.
breaks it down real hard for you.
So we shaded the time in. And I follow. She goes, I'm at work for 10 to 12 hours a day. Let's make it an even 12. I still follow. You haven't lost me yet. So 16 minus 12 is 4. She goes, I have 4 hours a day to do what I want. So I asked her, sort of a natural follow up, well, what is it that you want to do every day? I want to train for a marathon. I want to go to the gym. I want to cook. I want to read. I want to relax with friends. I go, yeah, that can be a lot if you're trying to do every one of those things every
Every
day,
single day.
assuming you're at work 12 hours a day. What if you're at work more?
Right.
What if you're at work less? What if
You f-
like everything's so fluid.
I mean, that's life, right? You got to flex things at times. Everything is not.
Absolutely. I think if you hold yourself to like these ironclad decisions,
Yeah.
you're setting yourself up to fail. And then and then I asked a follow up. I go, well, what about weekends?
Hmm.
And it's almost like I caught her off guard, like, oh, I didn't even consider what I do on weekends. And then she sort of said, well, I might probably just train more or what have you, which I found sort of interesting that she didn't plan out her weekends. That seems like a really big oversight for someone who's trying to plan out every moment of every day.
Yeah.
But that's none of my business.
Insert Kermit the
Um,
Frog here.
yeah, and with me, you know how I am. There's a self-sabotage is a really big thing with me. I do sort of get in my own way. I But I feel like with this sort of situation, it's more systemic, don't you say?
Yeah.
Or don't you think? I didn't really know what to say to all this when she told me. And at this point, there really wasn't too much chemistry throughout the conversation. She's sort of dictating how she doesn't think she has enough time, or she was telling me what she does, which is really interesting. She works in like a startup-ish group within a large investment bank to help college students transition to the workforce. And I told her that I had a lot of friends in finance who worked all across the Wall Street, so I sort of understood a little bit of the landscape.
Yeah.
But every time she discussed either what she did or the industry, she really did it in a really patronizing and condescending tone, and that really bothered me. And every time she'd say something, I go, "Yes, no, I understand that concept, or I know what that means, or like this isn't rocket science that you're
Was she trying
describing
to
to me
like?
right now."
Was she like dumbing things down heavily,
She,
or was she?
I don't think she was. I think if she tried to dumb things down, she did a really bad job of it because she just sort of described things normally.
It was just kind of her the way she was speaking about it, and
Yeah.
okay, spoke about it, like I guess in a
Right.
matter of fact
Now,
way or
it might
whatever.
be me sort of reading too much into it. At this point, I'm just like, I want the food to come out so I can eat my food so I can get out of here. It doesn't seem like this is going to move past this point.
I have a question.
Sure.
Would there ever be anything at this point? Do you think there could have been something that would redeem the state, or was it just over? It was a
I think it
disaster at
was
this point.
over. I think it's over at this point. I'm
Okay,
surprised. I'm surprised I even put an order in for food.
it was bad before you even put the order in.
Well, because we were sort of like the waiter sort of gave us some time to figure it out, and she goes, "Well, I'm gonna start my training tomorrow, so I don't want to eat anything too heavy, but the sea bass feast sounds really nice." And I go, "Sure, we can totally do the fish feast." She goes, "This way, uh, I won't feel bad about myself in the morning." I go, "Heaven forbid we feel bad about ourselves the next day about a decision we made the other day." Um, but the food was phenomenal, really well presented. Uh, we started with a nice sort of radish and endive salad. Then there was this great sort of seafood soup, side soup that came out with a piece of sea bass, some oysters, and some scallops, which I really enjoyed, like sort of a tomato paste sauce. Uh, it sort of reminded me of one of your stews.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
look
the
at
stews
that.
that you make. I mean, shout out to Reza Stews. Uh, but and then we had this huge sort of sea scallop that was filleted for us, right in, like with the head and the tail still there, and it was stuffed with crab and scallops, which was phenomenal. It came with two sides. One was Spanish rice, which is sort of like a nice thing to sort of use as a base, and
Yeah,
then the other thing was a 3B Brussels sprouts, which they called it Brussels sprouts, bacon, and butter. Really simple side,
yeah.
but definitely a crowd pleaser. That was definitely the MVP of the entire meal. Um, Overall, super happy with the food. I think I'm really happy to shake things up. I think I might try more more locations for food. But if people are close to the Smith, I think this is easier because I understand the space and I understand much more the variables of how the restaurant works. So I sort of feel more comfortable being in my element in that
Yeah.
sense. Uh, Now, let's see. At this point in the meal, we're just dragging. The food's here. We're sort of like coming to the end of the meal. We're discussing like really stupid stuff, and I just want to get out of here. You know.
Yeah.
Now I've always sort of said like I never have a bad first date because in my mind everything in the first date is sort of up for grabs. So you can discuss sort of everything. Uh, if there's a moment to pause, I don't feel really weirded out about long pauses because I feel like people should have a chance to sort of gather their thoughts. I know that's sort of in the minority nowadays because everyone feels the need to fill every moment with noise in my mind,
Right.
but I'm fine with it. Uh, but this date at this point really put a crimp in my I've never had a bad date line. I can definitely put that line to bed, that's for sure. This was squarely in the bad date category. Now, I
Yeah.
couldn't even wait to get to the check, thinking that was the end. But you know what? She didn't want to leave until she finished her drink. And she had only drank like 3 sips all night. And she
She
was sipping, not like I mean, I don't expect anyone to gulp a drink down. Uh, but she was sipping like a lady. Uh,
Sounds like she wanted to make sure you got your money's worth.
and you know what? She should. She should because she played me for a fool, man. You play me for a fool. So you should relish in that sort of situation. Uh, that's all well and good to want to finish your drink, but if you're trying to extend dinner at this point, you become public enemy number one in my eyes,
Yeah,
because there's no way that this goes anywhere. And she took these, like I said, she took these tiny sips each time. I swear to you, Reza, I died 1,000 deaths.
I think it's when you're just so irritated at this point, and
I
and
had
you're
my
like in a very
scarf in
irritable
my
mood.
hands. I had my scarf in my hands. That's how bad it got. No, but she was surprised to see that check had been paid. Because
Yeah,
I asked for the check and our codes because they did free code check or whatever. I was like, let me get the check and you give us our shit. Um, it came in a little tin can with the pen already out, and he goes, thank you so much. And that's sort of, when waiters,
yeah.
that's sort of the audio cue of
The final goodbye.
the final goodbye, the bill's been paid. And then, to me, that's such a small consolation prize. I find, I always love playing that game of how am I going to pay the check with you not knowing.
Yeah,
Uh, Small but necessary in the situation, Reza, because the entire night was a waste. But I think it was sort of good on some level to have gone through it. But now I say this sort of the fact that it was necessary because I had to pay respect to the food that we ordered, and this is how I was able to do that. Sort of respect the process, not let all these errors sort of end the way I feel the game. You know what I mean?
yeah.
And then when we finally put our codes on and made our way out the restaurant, I gave her a hug. Not trying to be a monster, but the last thing I said to her was, "Good luck with everything." Because what the fuck else am I gonna say?
Yeah.
And then I immediately walked the other way. I walked south. I usually do walk north to this part of New York City called Union Square, which is a major subway hub.
Hmm.
And she goes, when she saw me walking south, she goes, "Wait, aren't you going to Union Square too?" She goes, I go, "Nah, I gotta take care of this other thing real quick. I gotta go somewhere." And I just literally just didn't even stop, and I just walked away.
Hmm.
Now, the second I turned the corner, I laughed so hard as I was like unraveling my headphones from my
Yeah.
pocket and putting them on and blasting music. I laughed so hard. I laughed all the way home, and I swear to you, it was so therapeutic for me.
I wonder what she thought after that.
I don't
Like,
care.
I wonder
I
where.
honestly don't care what she thinks because on the entire spectrum of me having sort of emotional sort of weight to that night, it doesn't even register. You'd have to look at the machine and be like, "Is this thing on?" You got to tap the glass, how they tap the VCR and be like, "Is this thing on?"
Yeah.
Oh, bad date, bad date, bad date.
Well, at least you experienced it, right?
Yep, yep.
You,
You can only go so far.
I mean, you definitely it's a learning experience.
Oh, sure.
And I think when you kind of do these, it's obviously not like speed dating, but when you're going out of your way to date all sorts of people, you run into a whole lot of different types of personalities, and for whatever reason, some people don't click. Whether it's self sabotage or you really
Yeah, I
just
think I
have
went on
different
5 dates
interests.
in 2 weeks.
Yeah, that's a lot.
It is a lot. It is a lot. I
Yeah,
don't
it's
know
a, it's a
what's
date
gotten
every
into me
every
in
third night.
2015. Yeah, it is. Well, I mean, you know this because we catch up every morning.
Yeah,
When we're G chatting, and it's just it's I think I'm gonna pump the brakes real quick, not sort of, because for a while it was quantity, just like get as many dates on the book as on the books.
yeah,
So sort of like get back into that rhythm because I've been a minute before then. It's been a couple of months since I actually gone out on a date because I really wasn't looking
right.
super passive about the game, and then uh, sometime in mid-January when I was watching, like, when I was going through my West Wing binge, I was like, you know what? Uh, let's just do sort of I'm sorry, an OK Cupid profile,
Yeah,
just to give me something to do when I'm watching the show. Um, so it's been fun. I think it's fun, sort of creating the profile, putting yourself out there to a degree, and trying to meet somebody. Um, yeah, I mean, I understand that I'm in sort of like a pond with like really disgusting other guys. But I play a clean game. That's the only way I know how to play.
that's it. That's all you can do.
Yeah. So that was Friday night. And then yesterday,
Which I don't
great,
know of. I haven't heard of this date yet.
uh, great date.
Okay.
Really fun time. Funny thing is, it's with one of my best friends. And when we say date, it's sort of a fun play on things where we just every few months we spend all day together,
Yeah.
just like catch up and whatnot. And we just sort of giving it a cute name, or we just call it a date. Um, Overall, high level,
Mm-hmm.
the plan was the plan was to get brunch, go back to her place. Well, originally, we were going to create a Brooklyn food walking tour, be
Okay.
outside all day, get a bite here, get a bite there. But like this was supposed to be in Q4 of last year. She got pulled away on assignment for work a couple of times. I was away the other time she was back, so it just never really worked out. And then winter hit, so we figured let's just keep sort of everything indoors. So we did. So I planned a brunch. We were gonna go
Best
check
meal of the
out a
day.
best meal of the day. Yeah, I can believe that. I believe that. Check out like some really fun stores and some shops around her neighborhood. Grab dinner and then go to the show. But then we found out that one of our good friends was having a birthday celebration that night, so I sort of just like moved everything up a little bit.
Okay.
Still able to fit everything. Um, Now, I did tell you that this thing sort of took a long time to sort of come to fruition. You know, the best things in life do take time. You know, a fine cup of coffee needs the
Yeah.
right set of beans to be carefully ground with water at the right temperature to sort of like boil and seat for just the right amount of time, and then finally be allowed to sit in the right mug. You know, you rush a step here or there and you'll get your coffee earlier for sure, but I'm betting it won't be that sort of sublime experience that you were hoping for when you made that cup of coffee.
Yeah.
Now I'm sort of really glad that Saturday took a few months to come together. You know, it gave me a few chances to stash some tricks up my sleeve, which I'll tell you about. So when I got out of the subway near the brunch spot, it started snowing a little bit, which I really like. It was like thick clumps of snow, sort of falling gently. You know,
Yeah.
definitely made the city a little bit more picturesque. At when did we do it? Like 11:30. Yeah, 11:30 in the morning. Um, and seeing as either the city hadn't either quite woken up at that point or wasn't willing to deal with the wintry effect, it was sort of nice to be out on the streets alone. I got in early, checked us in, and of course, handed my card to the hostess. I sort of can't get out of that mode. You know, we're friends. This isn't a thing. You
Right.
know, I don't usually pay for my female friends. It's sort of like we go out, we just unless we're celebrating something, but otherwise it's a normal meal. I've never.
Yeah. Sounds about
It's
right.
not. It's not expected. You know. And then I thought to myself, Sabrina, you didn't even have a chance. My friend's name is Sabrina. Uh, when she walked in, I hugged her, and I said literally the first thing I said to her was, "I hope your date went a lot better than mine," because she had a date with somebody as well.
Yeah.
I go, "I hope your date went better than mine," and then the host wasn't ready for us. Oh, sorry, the hostess wasn't ready for us to be in the restaurant at that point. They figured we were going to be a few minutes late. Some tables were about to pay, so we ordered coffee at the bar and we sort of just like waited for our spot. And then she told me how well her date went, and I was really happy for her because I said, at least somebody had a good night. I just like as long as you got some positive karma out of the nonsense that I suffered through,
Yeah.
then I'm very happy for that to have happened. So then we caught each other up on our respective dates, and then we toasted to how well hers went compared to mine. The food overall that we had was really good. She got the eggs Benedict with hollandaise on like an English muffin, and I ordered. The name of the order was so funny. The order was sausage, bacon, beans, ham, eggs, and potatoes. That was the name of the dish.
That's it. That's it.
I was like,
That's not the description.
is that no? There wasn't a description. The description literally had with toasted English muffins. It just sounded like a list of ingredients, and when it came out on a plate, it was really funny because they used the bacon as like hands on a clock to
Yeah.
sort of separate all the ingredients, like we're in middle school and shit, your food can't touch each other.
Yeah.
Which I always found to be a weird thing. I don't know if that's how you like, but I sort of don't mind if things mix.
No, I don't mind if things. I don't. I definitely don't mind if things mix, but it does depend on what it is.
Oh, sure. I mean,
You know. Yeah.
there's always an asterisk for everything, right?
Yeah.
We sort of ate off of each other's plates because I said what's looking good to you. She said her dish first, and then mine. I go great because I saw that as the exact opposite. So I said you order yours, I order mine. We just eat off each other's plates. We covered sort of how cringeworthy my date was into excruciating detail. And then when the check came already paid, she was definitely not happy because she's been on the receiving end of this a couple times.
Oh, really?
Yeah. The best part though was that the check came in sort of a nice like a little book, like a notebook. It looked like a novel, like one of those short, like really like hardcover bound novels. But inside was all they were all blank white pages, and people had written messages. And then so I said, this is fun. Let me write a message. So I like flipping through the pages, sort of finding an open spot. And I remember reading a quote somewhere that I figured this would be a really cool sort of thing to write down. And the quote goes, as he took her hand, comma, he gave her all she had been waiting for, a shiver down the spine. Which I found like, oh, that's a really powerful, like, two sentences that is easy to remember, and it really hit me when I first read it somewhere.
Yeah.
I was like, that'd just be fun to put in a little book, There's really, uh, I don't know what compelled me to write it, but it was just the first thing I thought of when I wrote it down. Uh, we ended up walking back to her place. It took about 40 minutes to walk back, maybe 30, 35 minutes.
Good
But it
bit in
was
the cold.
nice, but it wasn't bitterly cold.
Yeah.
So by that time, it was already like one-ish. So whatever sun was out was out. And then the West Village, which is where she lives and where we sort of got brunch. I figured I'd keep everything within her like really awesome neighborhood, so that we didn't have to travel too much. Uh, the West Village was able to sort of sit back and bask in all its glory. Whenever you sort of watch a movie or a show on New York and you see those really nice brownstones,
Yeah.
that's what the West Village sort of looks like. Really cute shops or cute restaurants with these nice brownstones, and they have like tree line, and some streets have cobblestones. It's sort of just nice to take like a long walk back.
Mm-hmm.
And we took our time, making our way back from the restaurant, sort of meandering through the neighborhood, letting the streetlights guide us back, since the grid can allow us to really be flexible with how we get back. When we did get back to her place, we ended up FaceTiming one of our good friends. She just moved from New York to London, getting settled, and it was sort of nice to catch up with her, seeing what she's been up to.
Yeah.
We did that for a little bit, and then have you heard of that New York Times questionnaire? The 36 questions, like in order to fall in love, answer these 36 questions.
I have.
Uh, Let
Feels
me.
like I was on a rom com.
Yeah, right. It's definitely been making its way around like the internet space.
Yeah.
For those listening, and I will definitely put a link in the description for this. Uh, in Mandy Lynn Cantron's modern love essay, "To Fall in Love with Anyone, Do This," she does refer to a study by the psychologist Arthur Aaron, who explores whether intimacy between two strangers can be accelerated by having them ask each other a specific series of personal questions. There's 36 in total, and the study is broken up into three sets, with each set intended to be more probing than the previous one.
Mm-hmm.
The idea behind the study and these questions, more specifically, is that mutual vulnerability fosters closeness. To quote the study's authors, one key pattern associated with development of a close relationship among peers is sustained, escalating, reciprocal personal self-disclosure. Allowing oneself to be vulnerable with another person can be exceedingly difficult, so this exercise sort of forces the issue. And I've done this questionnaire with some close friends of mine,
Yeah.
and one person who wasn't so close, who I hadn't seen in a long time. Tremendous results. Uh, Really, really sort of interesting and moving and thought-provoking answers given by both parties. And I'm not really going to share what our answers were, because that's sort of meant to
Yeah.
be held between the two people who shared it.
Yeah.
But for about a good 2 hours, we just slowly like got to learn a little bit about each other. Now we've been good friends, best friends now, but we've been good friends since 2007. I met her when I was a freshman in college,
Well.
and we've been able to sort of keep in touch. She's the one that I found that gift for on the side of the street that I ended up
Yeah.
returning, and then we got that nice little reward.
Which I don't know if we discussed on the podcast, the reward part, but
We'll share that next time. We'll share that
yeah, yeah.
another time. But so we've been really close, and we sort of do dinners fairly often, and it's funny. Like every time, like as we continue to hang out, we sort of find out more and more about each other, and it's just fun that we sort of have a lot of similar views on things, and we it's funny, we keep sharing like this idea of like, oh, we'll just both move to San Francisco and get a dog and get a car and like sort of like be able to drive more often, like see more things and do more things, sort of just like living in that fantasy.
Yeah.
But once we were done the questionnaire, it was around like 4:30, and dinner was at 5. The reason why we did an early dinner at 5 o'clock was because the show that I was taking her to was at 7. Um, so she was getting ready. I was just like reading some coffee table books that she had. We hop out of her place, found a cab immediately, and it's like a 5-6 minute drive, so it's really easy.
Yeah.
Um, get to the place. We're like, I said I have a reservation, but it's like there's nobody in this restaurant. There's like 3 tables because who eats dinner at 5? You know.
Yeah.
Um, and well, when I did pay for brunch, Bree said, "Oh, why did you do this?" And I was like, "I don't know. I can't get out of it." She goes, "I'm definitely paying for dinner." And I go, "Okay." She goes, "No, no, no, no. I'm paying for dinner." And I go, "I hear you."
You didn't hear it, did you?
I didn't hear her. I just said things that I don't remember. I don't recall. I have no recollection. What ended up happening was we were standing by the hostess table. She was on the phone with somebody, and then when she hung up, I go, "Hey, I'm just checking us in." She goes, "Great, let me take you to your table." And then my friend Bree was sort of standing in front of me. She started walking over to the table, and I actually sort of planned this out when she was getting ready. I took my card out of my wallet, put it in my pocket. I was sort of wearing a suit, like a blazer and a suit without a tie, for the show. I didn't want to be too serious, but still wanted to like look nice all day. Bree changed to a nice dress, and it was great. So she was standing in front of me, and then she ended up walking towards the table. I sort of reached into my pocket, I give the card, go to the host, and go, "Put the dinner on this card." We went to this nice tapas place, Spanish tapas. I let her order for us. I let Bree order for us. She's got great taste in food. I always trust her, so it wasn't an issue. Um, we end up ordering like patatas bravas, which is basically potatoes and like this like nice sauce. We had a grilled octopus, which is Cheeto peppers, which is really good. We had this like really long tube pasta filled with duck fat, orange. That was really good, and we had croquettes, sort of like your standard tapas fare.
Yeah.
We didn't get dessert; it was too early for dessert. And dessert always seems like much more heavier than it has to be. Uh, we ended up just drinking a ton of water because we hadn't drank any water that day. I was like, we should probably get
Wow.
hydrated at some point. And then Bree already knew that I was taking her to the show called Sleep No More. Sleep No More. If I can we'll link this in the description too. If you're in New York City or you're traveling in New York City, you definitely need to check this out. Sleep No More is out of control. Um, wow, there's a wiki. Sleep No More, based on the wiki, is a site-specific interactive work of theater. It adapts the story of Macbeth, deprived so there's no spoken dialogue, and set primarily in a very dimly lit 1930s era establishment called the McKittrick Hotel, which the website sort of claims it's been recently restored, but it's actually just a block of warehouses in Manhattan transformed to a hotel-like performance space. So just imagine it's super dark and like eerie. You're in a couple of different locations, like a hotel, a hospital, outside, and no one's allowed to say anything
Okay.
the entire time. The actors don't say anything, you don't say anything, and I don't want to give too much away for people who won't go, but we'll get to that sort of situation later because we're almost there. We ask for the check comes paid, and she goes, "How did you do this?" And I go, "I have no idea. I have no idea how this keeps happening." I was with you all day, and I go, "I know. We need to figure out how to get to the bottom of this." She goes, "When did you give it? Did you give it when I was in the bathroom?" And I go, "No, because I wouldn't have had my card on me." She goes, "Did you give it when we checked in?" And I go, "I think that might have been. I think that's what happened. I think that's what I did." She definitely not happy, but and I don't mean to like do it to make her unhappy, and I don't mean to do it with like some like, kind of ulterior motive.
Yeah.
It's a fun thing. It's a small gesture. Um, Money between friends always changes hands. It's not a big deal. So we stayed at the restaurant for a little bit, and then we caught a cab up to the performance space. And it's funny because the facade outside, there's only like a guy with a sort of like a VIP rope line, and people just standing in line. You really wouldn't know from the outside what's going down.
Yeah.
So they like make sure you got to be 18 to go into the show. They just send out an email beforehand, giving you some pointers, like as a guest of the hotel, what you can look forward to. wear comfy shoes and like try and dress up to like the 1930s era to really feel like you're there. She goes, and one of the lines is some may experience psychological breakdowns.
Wow.
It's like this is so. My friend was really scared.
Yeah.
She goes, "What does this mean?" I go, "Don't worry, I'm here with you the entire time. I'll be with you at every step of the way, and I'll let you lead. I'll always be around you. Don't freak out."
Yeah.
We go in and we sort of check in at the front desk, right? And then like follow, walk this way, and I swear to you, all the lights are off at this point. You gotta like walk through this small corridor. There's people behind us freaking out, and my friend Bree's like, "What is happening?" So I like took her hand, and we walked through like the series of corridors. It's basically meant to separate the outside world from this performance space.
Yeah.
And then when you sort of make your way through this like crazy labyrinth, you open up these blinds, if you will, and it's like a 1930s bar. They pumped in a lot of smoke. There's like an old timey band playing. There's like there's a full bar, and it's like they're playing 30s music, you know. So it's like, oh my gosh, we're in a crazy space. Now I
Yeah.
don't want to give away the show itself to those that are going to try and go, but I swear to you, it's a once in a lifetime experience.
I mean, it sounds pretty cool. Pretty
It
interesting.
sounds really interesting. If you and Elena ever want to try it when you come, let me know.
Yeah.
It could be worth doing. Um, Now they when we sort of they called our sort of turns to go, like Bree got a drink and we sort of like tried to calm our nerves, but she goes, I just got a kettle and soda. I don't think this is gonna do the trick. We got onto the elevator that sort of takes us up into the space. I was like, just hold my hand, like don't worry, we'll get through this. Um, the door opens and I totally remember this happening, but I didn't tell her. The door opens. It's like a two-sided elevator, and
Okay.
like the one side open. We sort of I knew it when it happened because we were one of the last ones to get on the elevator, and the guy saw us sort of like holding like her hand, not like we weren't holding hands, but like her arm was in mine, sort of thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like so, like escorting someone somewhere. The door opens and it's already like super dark with like some lighting effects and like you can tell there's a performance space. He goes, "Ladies first." So she goes off, and then he sort of like prevents me from going and closes the door really quickly. And all you can see is like her face looking at mine, and I sort of like pushed a little bit, but like this guy was like, "Nah, boss, what are you doing?" I go, I know, I'm just gotta sell it. I just gotta sell the effect of wanting to, because part of me really wanted her to experience part of this alone,
Right.
because it's sort of like a choose your own adventure, yada yada. Don't make me give it away, Jesus.
I didn't say anything. I just said yeah, yeah.
But so for the first like 20 minutes, I'm just like making my way around this whole like series of warehouse. Like think of how big a warehouse is,
Yeah.
and think of what they can do to make it seem like they're individual rooms of a hotel. I'm just like making my way through. I was like, well, she'll find me, even though it's dark.
Yeah.
You know. And she ended up getting to a point where like everyone sort of recongregated to this one point, and then she like walked up to me. She looked at me, and I looked at her, and I was like, okay, I know who you are. We're good, because it was like really dimly lit.
Yeah.
So I sort of like took her arm in mine, and I just goes, all right, lead the way. Go wherever you want to go. And fantastic show. It was 3 hours. And we ended up walking to this restaurant afterward to get pizza, sort of like talk about what we saw and like how crazy the show was. And I'm just really happy she had a great time.
That's good.
She ended up paying for the pizza. It was funny. We ate at the bar. She got like a glass of white wine. We got a small margarita pizza, like a true margarita pizza, not like
Yeah.
thick
Yeah.
thick cheese and tomato sauce, but like all right, just so we're clear. And she goes, "I'm paying for this." I go, "Sure," because we walked in, right. There's like at this point, there's nothing I can do. Because she didn't go to the bathroom. She goes, "I'm making sure I don't go to the bathroom. I'm holding it in so I can pay for this." So she gives a card, and she goes to the bar, the bar guy, the barman. He goes, "This guy, he's paid for everything. He's paid for the tickets. He's paid for the brunch. He's paid for the dinner." And I go, "Wouldn't it make sense if I just pay for this as well? Like, I'm happy to do it. Like, why?" And the
Yeah.
guy was like, "I don't know what to do. I'm just gonna do what the girl tells me to do." I was like, "All right, fine, but just know that you made a grave error tonight." We ended up going to our friend's birthday, at this really crowded bar called Phoebe's, which is sort of like in the East Village, New York University area, which I've gone to when I was in college, and I totally realized why I haven't gone there since, because it's really crowded. It's like one of those places where you feel like at capacity is a fire hazard, and we were like in the corner of the bar where no air was getting to, and I
Yeah.
was still wearing like a blazer, dress shirt, like basically in a suit.
Hmm.
I'm fucking sweating, you know. It was funny because I have a really nice outer coat that I got this year, and there was this girl who was wearing something that was a little too slutty to be out on a night like this, like a really sort of high crop top and like really short skirt or whatever. And she
Yeah.
was holding a drink, like a beer, and she was clearly a couple drinks in, and she was sloshing. So I was with my friends, wishing my friend Vicky a happy birthday. Shout out to Vicky Shang, happy 26th. I was talking to my friend Kate and her boyfriend Pat, and Veronica and Lou, and we were just we were talking to this girl. She's like trying to, like, this guy is like macking on her, right? Like these three guys and three girls are macking on each other, and she's holding this beer. She's like not trembling, but like woozy. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
she's like sort of like gliding back and forth, and I could see the beer is 80% full in her fucking glass, and it's sloshing.
Yeah.
And my coat, like, there's like we're packing in like sardines. So I'm thinking, do I turn around and let you spill all over my suit, or do I let you spill all over my top coat? And I was like, in my mind, I'm going, dude, my coat is worth more than everything you have on your person right now. You don't even know. You don't even know what kind of game you're in right now. So I ended up just sort of like pushing her a little bit, and like the group sort of like moved away. But I was like, nah, bish, listen, you ain't spilling on this coat because you can't afford the dry cleaning. But I ended up leaving at around 1:30. I was like really tired because I've been up since like 8 o'clock,
Right.
and it's like that's a lot of hours to be up. But sort of left everyone there. So I said goodbye. I was like, you know what, I gotta go because I don't drink.
Yeah.
Everyone's able to keep drinking and like have fun, but like, I don't drink. So it's sort of to be stone cold sober in a crowded bar full of drunk people.
Dropping
Nah.
the name of the podcast in there, man.
Shout out to Stone Cold Sober Podcast. But can you shout out to something that you work on? I don't know. The
I
rules are on that.
I'm gonna say yes.
You're gonna say yes? Okay. But yeah. So overall, a great date. And my friend Bree sort of she texted this morning. What did she say? I just sort of put it's a nice little cap on the story. Bree goes, thanks for the links and thanks for so much for yesterday. It was awesome. I'm still reeling from Sleep No More. Get ready because I'm planning our next day, probably when it's warmer. So I was like, you know what? That's a good date. Now, not in a traditional sense date, like romantically,
Yeah.
'cause we supremely enjoy each other's company. But it's just one of those things like, this is the energy that I wanted from a date. This is the thing that I look forward to. This is something that when you're feeding off of each other, it's very natural. You feel very comfortable in each other's space, and you're
Yeah.
just having a blast. That's what I mean by a good date.
Yeah.
So, Bree, if you're listening, you were a great date. I did send her, because she like these write-ups I do send to friends.
Yeah.
I sent her a write-up of the date. I said the title of the email was "First All-Day Date with Sabrina Recap." And I said one line. It was, "I had fun." I think that sums it about up. Which, you know me, I'm pretty verbose most of the time. So,
Yeah.
uh, so yeah, that's what. It was great. It was just a great day. I think I needed it after the bad date. That's all. That's all.
Sounds good.
Yeah. So, like I said before, I think I'm gonna pump the brakes on it real quick. I think I want to focus on me a little bit.
Okay.
So, because I know that if I focus on me, then those are like more tangible goals that I can sort of aspire to and sort of build confidence that way. Not saying I lost confidence on this bad date, but sort of just regrouping. Just took a sack on third down. More like second down. I don't even know if it's that important, but just taking a step back.
Hey,
Is all.
do you, boo boo?
Appreciate it, boss. Yeah, that's sort of it.
Yeah, no, it sounds good.
Yeah, I don't know if people like listening to this stuff. That's fine. I think you and I do really well with these lighthearted subjects. I mean, you and I discuss the heavier things all the time.
Yeah.
If people want to hear it, like one thing over another, let us know. Um, but I'm really happy to discuss sort of like these things. I think it's a pretty fun thing, and who knows, maybe I'll sort of collate and combine all these write ups one day, and we'll make it into a thing,
Yeah, I mean,
like a published piece or something.
you have plenty. You started doing them. What was
Way
it?
back.
A year or 2 years ago? 2
Yeah.
years ago. Because I was.
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember you writing about those, and then I think the kind of the breaking point with it was when you realized that you were looking forward to writing the write ups more than you were actually looking forward to seeing the
Well,
girl
with
that you're
that
seeing.
particular person, it was that way.
Yeah, maybe it didn't start off that way, but
Yeah. And right now, it's definitely not the case either. I'm definitely looking forward to just like sort of what's I'm sorry, get to know these people.
yeah. I mean, I guess it's
Uh,
also exciting too because a lot of these are first dates. It's not like follow ups. You're the thrill of the unknown, maybe.
yeah. Uh, so yeah, I mean, I'm still having fun. It's just 2015, starting it off, sort of just trying to get to meet new people. It's fun.
That's good.
Yeah, for now. For now, I don't really know what I want. I can tell you what I don't want, and that's the date that I had on Friday to ever happen again. Uh, but we'll see.
Yeah,
Yeah. Is that it for this week?
yeah. I mean, we didn't have anything else to discuss. So unless there's anything else that you have, guess
I
we
think
can
that's
wrap it
it.
up. Okay.
Yeah. My name is Sandy.
I'm Reza.
Thanks so much for listening. See you next time.